Welcome back as we're getting ready to roll off the infield and get underway. 150 laps of racing, 3 segments, 60, 50, 40. There's track owner Tony Stewart going around all the drivers. Not only a great driver in the Sprint Cup Series, but also a great promoter right here in the dirt track world. Let's take a look at our Camping World track description of this historic racetrack, Eldora Speedway.
Amazing is all I can say. 24-degree banks in the corners, and they will run it, Michael, as you talked about, from the very flat bottom all the way to the outside wall on those 24 degrees.
Yeah, over 100 miles an hour down into these corners, too, Phil. Fast action on a tight track.
Our American Ethanol race analysis. 30 trucks will be getting the green flag in just a moment. 150 laps total for 75 miles. And take a look at Norm's truck, a beat-up truck, but he loves the fact that he is currently in this main event.
That's the most beautiful truck that Norm's ever driven right there, Rick.
Let's go to the infield and Hermie Sadler.
Well, Rick, one most important aspect of any kind of racing is the tires and how they grip the track. This is a left side tire we raced at Daytona. This is the left side tire on the trucks tonight. 11-inch tread that Goodyear developed for dirt racing. Obviously the grooves in the tires, but the biggest difference, the left side tires a lot shorter than the left side tires from Daytona. That creates, instead of about 1 inch of stagger, about 3 inches of stagger that Goodyear brought to help these trucks turn on this dirt track at Eldora. Bob?
Hermie, Kenny Wallace is one of the dirt track ringers in this race. He won the 4th heat race. It won't line up in that 4th spot, but he told me something very interesting before he climbed in. He said, you know what, when he was leading that heat race, he felt like he was driving like a grandpa. It was so slow, so he stepped on the gas. He wound up hitting the wall. He said he thinks driving like a grandpa will win this race here tonight, Ray Dunlap.
And you know, Bob, you talk about those dirt track ringers. Look at the front of our field. Kenny Schrader's up there. Kenny Wallace is up there. Jared Landers, a late model driver. Those guys don't care anything about points, but tonight's race could have big implications in our points. Guys like Matt Crafton came here to survive. Timothy Peters has a really good starting position, but as we move back through the field, there's a number of people who have to work very methodically at getting their way to the front. You see Matt Crafton there? He has had top 10 finishes in every event this year. We'll see if he can pull off another one tonight here at Eldora.
Thank you, Ray. We'll ride along with a few different drivers. Phil?
This guy has over 500 dirt track wins in a late model. He's a member of the Hall of Fame. He's a 6-time late model dream champion. It's Scott Bloomquist, and he's going to start from the 21st spot in Kyle Busch's Toyota Cara Toyota.
How about Ty Dillon? He's got some dirt track experience. He's tested tires for these trucks. He's ready to go. He's starting in the 15th position in the Bass Pro Tracker Boat Chevy.
Next driver we're going to ride with won the 4 Crown here at Eldora. He's going to be 21 years old next month. He's already run it next week. He's already run won a truck race at Rockingham earlier this year. He's going to drive the Clorox Chevy. Kyle Larson will start from the 13th spot.
What about our speed reporter, Kenny Wallace? He's driving the Jegs Toyota. Kenny Wallace is a dirt track ringer. He loves that. He's been a NASCAR racer his whole life. When he retired from NASCAR racing, heck, he started racing dirt all over the country. He's won races all over the country, and he would love to win tonight. He goes off in the 4th spot.
And our director, Roger Vincent, is loving this. We are back on dirt, and guess what? You are going to see for the first time 4 wide as they will do a parade lap for the fans here at Eldora. This is something that is very significant in the dirt world. This is what they have done here at Eldora before all of their main features. And we're doing it now in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. 4 wide. They're 4 abreast as they come by the grandstands. And the fans are on their feet cheering loudly.
What an awesome sight.
You know, we talk a lot about all these guys at heart are into winning this race. We saw Norm Benning battle to try to get in this race with all the passion he had. There's one gentleman that has to be smiling from ear to ear right now, and that's Tony Stewart. The fans have responded. They've come out to his track. He's nursed this surface for the last 2 days to get it exactly like he wants it. The fireworks, the 4 wide, the fans on their feet. This is a great sight.
And when you say nurse this surface, we're being very literal. He was on the racetrack predominantly all day checking to make sure everything was just the way he wanted it. This racing surface is perfect for the first ever NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race at Eldora.
I called him the head greenskeeper of the day. I told him he looked to me like a guy who is contouring and tweaking the Augusta National Golf Club for the Masters, and he said that's exactly what I'm supposed to do. I've got to make this place perfect for my fans and for my racers so they go out and battle their rear ends off.
And he has.
He's done it. I love it.
60 laps will be this first segment. They will have the opportunity to then, after the segment, come onto pit road, make adjustments, change tires. We'll go to a 50-lap segment, and then finally a last 40-lap segment to end this race.
They might have to beat out some fenders, too, during those breaks.
And I want to tell you, Rick, tick, tick, tick. Every lap that goes by, the sense of urgency is going to get higher and higher. You got to race so hard to get into a position to win this race at the end. If you're running 15th, you can't sit there. You think Ty Dillon's going to sit back in 15th? You think Kyle Larson is comfortable being in 13th? These guys know they got to go, and that's what's going to be so fun about this. Plus, throw in lap traffic. We've seen these guys just race with a clean track all afternoon. Now, action is fixing to pick up.
The Mudsummer Classic about to get underway. 58-year-old Ken Schrader earlier today wins qualifying, goes out, wins the first qualifying heat race. He will start on the pole as the oldest pole winner in the history of NASCAR.
And look at that bling. I love his chrome wheels, all shiny. Schrader is on the pole and he is ready to go. On the other side of the spectrum, a guy starting his very first truck race, Jared Landers, in the Mark Martin truck. He's ready to go.
Coming out of turn number 4 to kick off the first dirt race in the trucks. Green flag in the air, we're underway.
Matt Crafton's wasting no time going down to the bottom.
And he held his own over there too, Phil. Comes off the corner side to side with Jeff Burton. Look at Landers. He's still keeping the heat right on Schrader. He can move up now if he wants. He's got a little gap behind him. Get up ahead of Kenny Wallace, and that's what he does.
Ken Schrader leads the first lap of the Mudsummer Classic at Eldora Speedway. Jared Landers holding on to second. 3 wide. Back behind him for position.
It's all been play up until now. Now it gets serious.
Crafton continuing to try the bottom of the racetrack.
Look at all those different grooves. Look at those trucks. They're everywhere. That's what we've been waiting for.
Schrader has figured out the line on the high side. Jared Landers continuing to trail him, as well as that 81 of Kenny Wallace.
But look at that bright neon truck just ahead of Kyle Larson there. That's Matt Crafton. He's making it work down on the bottom. He's got around he's got around Jeff Burton. Now he's driving up toward Dave Blaney.
Kyle Larson also making that bottom line work. He started this race in 13th. He's already made it up into the top 10 as we've completed 4 of the 150 laps.
Kyle Larson was able to get up to the top side right in front of his teammate James Busher.
Crafton continuing to lead the pack on the bottom as he's trying to work his way up. Not able to gain a lot of ground on the 4 of Jeff Burton or the 62 of Brendan Gaughan just in front of him.
Kyle went back down the middle of the racetrack.
Right along with Bloomquist. How many times do you think he's seen traffic like this in his career, Phil? About every Saturday night, this is what he deals with. He knows there's a way through all those guys. He's just got to figure it out.
But I'm not sure he's used to starting this far back, Michael, and to see this much traffic.
4 wide once again through turns 1 and 2.
You sure it's only 4 wide? It looked like 5 wide for a moment.
Look at Hornaday banging off the wall, putting some pressure on Tracy Hines. There's Austin Dillon down on the bottom. Johnny Sauter with the middle.
The 98 of Johnny Sauter right on the back bumper of that 39 of Austin Dillon. Then it's Tracy Hines in the 13 working the bottom of the track.
He's the truck you mentioned, and when we talked on camera about using the bottom of the racetrack, he was trying it in practice.
Spread out around this track now, but the pack is not split up. Ken Schrader still holding on to that top spot. Jared Landers chasing him. Timothy Peters running well in 3rd. Dave Blaney has 4th locked up in the 19. And then Kenny Wallace has dropped back to 5th in the 81.
Kenny Wallace just gave up that spot to Dave Blaney. He drove away from Kenny Wallace. It looks like Blaney's got a really, really good truck, as does Landers. Remember early in the qualifying race, we saw Landers sideways. He couldn't keep that truck straight. Clint Boyer left the Hollywood Hotel and told him, he went down to the truck and said, tighten that thing up so Jared can go. It looks like they've gotten it tightened up, and he's putting some pressure on Schrader.
Timothy Peters was the fastest truck on the racetrack that last lap. Look at him closing up on Landers.
Looking to the outside of the 6, trying to take second away. Here comes Timothy Peters. We talked about experience on dirt tracks. Timothy Peters has virtually none, and he is making a move by one of the dirt track regulars. He takes second away from Landers.
Here goes Dave Blaney. He's going to try to get by Landers on the inside. They make a little contact. Landers gives him a break.
Dave Blaney moves up to the 3rd spot. Landers drops back to 4th now. Now the pressure is on from the 17 of Timothy Peters on the 52 of Ken Schrader for the lead.
I just saw how bad Dave Blaney wants this baby. He just banged off the side of Landers and made the move. Look at the side of Ty Dillon's truck. We're looking outside of his truck. That's Hornaday, Hornaday up on the high side. Max Gresham. There's battles all over this racetrack.
Gresham looking to the inside now. And he's got Hornaday following as we continue to ride along with Ty Dillon. There's the battle for the lead. Timothy Peters looking to the inside of that 52 of Ken Schrader. What has he got for him?
He's going to open up that outside for Dave Blaney.
And you know Blaney's going to be aggressive. He wants this race bad.
Up the track goes Timothy Peters in the 17 once again. He realizes that's the fastest way around for him. Now Blaney looking down below, trying to take the 2nd spot away.
Dave Blaney, it's not been a long time since he's been on dirt. He's running his own sprint car 10 or 15 times this year.
This is NASCAR on dirt, though, man.
Yes, dry, slick racetrack is what you're seeing.
It's locked down.
Kyle Larson trying the slide job to get around the 4 of Jeb Burton, not able to make the pass.
But he is up to the 7th spot. Started back in 13th.
We knew that Kyle Larson would be one driver we'd have to keep our eyes on. So talented, has experience in NASCAR, but also spends most of his time on dirt.
That's the same with our 5th place runner, Kenny Wallace. A lot of experience in NASCAR, but has turned all of his attention to dirt. And right now he's getting a big challenge from Jeb Burton, and there goes Peters to the bottom to make the move on Schrader. He's going to make it work.
Wide job for the lead. Timothy Peters in front, the crowd on their feet as the pass was made, and then back came Schrader on the inside.
Schrader actually led that lap. He didn't let Peters have it, but I think he's in trouble. Here comes Blaney on the outside, and Blaney is fast.
How impressive is Timothy Peters? As you mentioned, Rick, little to no experience, and he's up here racing with some of the best dirt track drivers we've ever had.
Here comes Blaney. He takes second away from Schrader. Schrader drops back to the 3rd spot. Jared Landers still holding on to that 4th position.
Remember I talked about Kenny Wallace being in the 5th place? We'll change that. Kyle Larson has made his way around Kenny Wallace, and he is coming. Started back in that 13th spot like we talked, and we said he wouldn't want to stay there. He's joined the top 5, and now he's going to go after 4th on Jared Landers.
That side-by-side battle for a moment. Brendan Gaughan jumped to the inside of Kenny Wallace. There goes Ryan Newman down to the bottom of the racetrack.
Also trying the slide job. He makes it work against Jeb Burton. Burton had to check up there to allow the 34 of Newman to be able to have a spot.
And that checking up is going to go away, Rick. As the laps wind down, they're not going to be putting up with that.
There goes Larson down to the bottom again.
4th position back behind him. Larson trying the slide job. Now we see Jared Landers not wanting to give up the position. Look to the inside of Larson. Kyle Larson's moved up into that 4th spot.
He's doing things we don't see anybody else really be able to do right now, Phil. Driving through the field, making slide jobs, and making them work.
Riding along with Kenny Wallace. Kenny holding on to the 6th spot. In front of this field, I'm not sure anyone would have predicted that with 19 laps complete in this race, Timothy Peters would be in front of the field at Eldora.
Especially Timothy Peters.
He's the last person that would have got it.
Exactly.
Timothy Peters in front, Dave Blaney running second, Ken Schrader, Kyle Larson, and Jared Landers. The trucks are taking on Eldora. Welcome back to Eldora Speedway and the Mudsummer Classic presented by American Ethanol. Out in front of the field, it's Timothy Peters, but he's got his hands full. The 19 of Dave Blaney right on his back bumper, right?
You know what's interesting, Rick? This truck that Timothy Peters is driving tonight is chassis number 93. 1 year ago, his crew chief Butch Hilton decided to retire this truck. They felt they could build better ones. They set it in the back corner of the shop, said we don't plan to ever race that one again. But when it came to Eldora, they pulled it out of the mothballs and said, let's take it there. Why did they bring it? Because they were afraid that if they tear that thing up, it wouldn't be a big deal. I think right now they're pretty happy that they've got old truck 93, and it's not going to be long until they get to the tail of the field. And for more on who's back there, let's go to Bob Dillner.
Scott Bloomquist in that 51 truck is one of the most feared race car drivers on dirt tracks in this country, but right now he runs last in the 30th spot. Scott says that truck is just way too loose and he can't get a grip of this race truck and this racetrack around here. But the big difference between he and so many other trucks, that truck does not have a front sway bar, something that Scott Bloomquist wanted to try, and it's not working out, Hermie Sadler.
Ken Schrader set fast time, started up front, won his heat race, but right now he is falling back due to lack of forward drive. He cannot get the rear tires on the ground to get off the corner. He's going backwards. That 39 right in beside of him, that's Austin Dillon. He's on his way to the front. He qualified towards the back in the 19th spot, and he is also driven up to the top 5. So 52 going back, 39 headed to the front.
Thanks, Hermie. 31 laps complete, 29 to go to complete this first segment, this first 60-lap segment of 150 laps. And a great battle up front. Timothy Peters and Dave Blaney. It's going to get even more interesting as they have caught up to the field. They will start to lap the lap traffic now.
We talked about Peters' inexperience. He hasn't raced on dirt much. He doesn't know how to lap people. He's sitting here with the lead. He's going to lap Scott Bloomquist. We talked about Scott's truck not running well. I don't like that no front sway bar. His left front tire and body is way up in the air. It's obviously not working. They can't wait for the adjustments that they can make to that thing, but he's out in left field right now.
The other thing, we've got Dave Blaney and Kyle Larson all over the back bumper now of that 17 of Timothy Peters. So you have two very experienced dirt track racers right behind an inexperienced dirt track racer and Timothy Peters. Now Peters is first to get to the slower lap traffic, but he's got some experience behind him that could be taking away that top spot.
Larson around the outside of Blaney. He makes the move on Blaney in the traffic. Peters finally decides to try to go to the bottom.
It's going to cost him the lead, Michael.
Here comes Kyle Larson trying to take the top spot away from Timothy Peters. Into one they go. Kyle Larson looks to the inside, can't make the pass.
They're lapping Scott Bloomquist, one of the greatest dirt racers in America, going a lap down, 36 laps into this baby. That's how tough these guys are.
Working their way through 3 and 4.
Timothy was able to hold on to that lead. Scott went down to the bottom, gave him room. Kyle Larson was stuck down on the bottom. Now he's in behind Timothy, right along with him.
Kyle Larson looking at the high side. Timothy Peters goes all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack through 3 and 4. Slides by some of the slower lap traffic. Now here comes Kyle Larson making the move on the inside. Peters still in front though. Timothy Peters making that outside line work right up against the wall. Little contact there between he and Kyle Larson. Timothy Peters coming up on Norm Benning now. He'll try to work his way around the 57. Kyle Larson looking for an opportunity to take away the #1 position.
The lap trucks are not running that much
There
slower.
he goes. Kyle Larson goes by on the outside.
The lap trucks are not running that much slower than the leaders.
Kyle Larson saw the opening on the outside of Timothy Peters. Peters was trying to get around the 57 of Norm Benning. That opened the door for the 30 of Larson.
Kyle Larson is going to show Timothy Peters something about lapping vehicles on dirt, something Peters doesn't know about, something that Kyle Larson has done his whole life. Watch him work his way through this traffic.
And now the young man becomes the instructor as he will work his way through the slower lap traffic, right?
We're just about 10 laps to our first pit stop, Rick, too, and Kyle Larson said, I need a lot of help with this truck. It's way, way too tight with this traffic, so they plan on raising the track bar. Now, keep in mind, when we're racing on dirt, you've got to make much bigger adjustments than you do when we're racing on asphalt. I'm really worried for the rest of the field. If Larson's truck's too tight, and he came from 13th all the way to the lead.
Well, the rest of the field should be a little bit nervous as he is checking out now on that 17 of Timothy Peters. He's put almost a second between himself and the 17.
Timothy's trying to get by that 24 right there. Brennan Newberry.
He's not having any luck doing that. Look at Larson just cruising right now with the lead.
Your top five: Kyle Larson, Timothy Peters, Dave Blaney, Jared Landers, and Ryan Newman. Bumping and banging on the dirt track. Kyle Larson continues to lead the Mudsummer Classic, presented by American Ethanol here on Speed. Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, Michael Waltrip with you calling the action. This has been a caution-free first segment as we have just 10 laps to go until the end of this first segment, and it's been all Kyle Larson. He has been from the 13th spot all the way to the front, now trying to work past the slower lap traffic.
And it's not going well, Rick. They were side by side in front of Kyle. He tried to make the move to the bottom, banged into the back of Brian Blaney. Can't make the move. He's stuck right now.
Second place is Dave Blaney in the 19, so a pretty good gap. It's 3 seconds that separate the top two. But again, that will all go away after this segment. They'll re-rack the field as far as putting them back 2 by 2 for the restart of the second segment. But we've got great battles going on all over.
This is a battle for fourth right here. Austin Dillon, the 39, the 6 of Jared Landers. That's Ryan
Newman up on the high side.
Ryan on the high side.
Looking out the back of the 51 of Bloomquist. That's Jared Landers just behind him. Look at how long they're sideways. Almost all the way through the turns.
And Bloomquist is trying to make his way around Norm Benning and not having any luck. And that's our battle inside the top 5 that are hung up behind those guys.
Guys, how many people you think would have predicted we'd run the first 52 laps caution-free?
A lot of people predicted everyone in the field would spin out during practice. This is so different. But these are some of the best race car drivers in the world, and they can adapt. They can figure this out.
Look at the move by Austin Dillon, and that 39 slides in front of the 6, got into the back of the 51. They're getting a little aggressive as this first segment winds down.
And it just keep boiling up, Britt. And before the night's over, it's going to boil over.
Kyle Larson has some impressive statistics in his resume. The big wins, the caution has now come out. Debris on the racetrack, might have seen that when we saw Austin Dillon get into the back of the 51.
I think it was debris off the 51 of Scott Bloomquist.
Scott's got to be shaking his head. There's no way this is happening. I'm not getting lapped. I don't ever get lapped. But watch right here. Boom, into the back of Bloomquist, and there went some of the underbody work in the back of that Toyota.
And we're right along, looking out the back of the 51. There's the 39 making contact, and there goes the debris.
He passed one and hit another one. That's a pretty good corner.
So once again, we're racing to lap 60, the 60th lap of this segment. Then they will all be able to come onto pit road. They will come in groups of 15. They will be able to change tires, add fuel, work on these trucks. There will not be a race off of pit road. You'll be able to hold the position. When you come onto pit road, you will go off of pit road in that same spot.
There's Max Gresham, the A truck. He will be our free pass. It's the highest placed non-lead lap truck.
And there he goes.
He is the 20th place truck. So 20 trucks on the lead lap of the 30 that have started.
And all of that lead that Kyle Larson had built up just went out the window. Dave Blaney's going to pull down to his inside. And then in the second row, you're going to have Timothy Peters and Austin Dillon lined up. Landers and Newman behind them. Newman has made some nice moves, gotten up to the 6th spot.
And he'll be on the outside, a huge advantage.
Spotters will be telling these drivers what positions they're in. So once they get all lined up, we'll go 2 by 2 once again for the restart.
You've already completed 56 laps, so we may run this caution out till we get to the lap 60 break.
They're pulling the debris off of the racetrack in 3 and 4.
Well, I hope not. I'd like to see them run a couple laps. Every lap they run makes me happy.
I'm sure Kyle Larson saying, no, we'll be fine.
That's enough.
Caution.
Somebody that's definitely saying that's Timothy Peters. He'll be stuck on the inside of row 2. It'll be really difficult for him to hold on to that spot.
But an outstanding job this race.
Amazing.
Timothy Peters.
The lap traffic got him. I mean, Kyle Larson's truck is faster and Kyle is faster right now, but when they got to the lap traffic, Kyle took advantage of that because of all of his experience, as did Dave Blaney. Both of them got around Timothy, but wow, like you talked about, Phil, a lot of improvement from the first lap on the track. I talked to his crew chief down in the pits, Butch Hilton. This team won the last race in the Camping World Truck Series. He said, look inside that right side door. They had bars all down the right side of the truck to brace the side. They said, we think Timothy might have some learning to do here, and we want to make sure we keep the integrity of the right side together. I think Timothy learned pretty quick.
Sure has.
Crew's getting ready for that first stop, which will take place after lap 60. We've completed 58. We're going on 59.
I don't think we'll have time to restart before that lap 60.
The full moon.
Oh, that's
out
pretty.
Tonight. And we're hearing that we'll go one more lap and then we will get our pit stops. So the first 15 trucks will make their way onto pit road for this end of the first segment, which Kyle Larson has been able to move from the 13th starting spot all the way up to your lead.
And this pit stop, you don't have to be in an ultimate rush. You can make your adjustments, you can change your tires, you can take your time because you've got about 2 minutes to get all this done. You do not lose your spot in the running order. They're going to come into pits 15 at a time, make their adjustments, make their changes, and go back on the track. So when we restart, we're going to restart just like we went to pit road.
All 30 trucks still running on the racetrack. Not one truck out of this race.
And so this is the end of the first segment.
What a segment it was for Kyle Larson from 13th straight to the front. And it didn't take him long to do it, Phil.
Sure did.
A couple other trucks that were really impressive. Timothy Peters we talked about. Jared Lander's first truck start. Newman racing his way up to 6th. Brendan Gaughan looks like he might have something for him tonight too, along with Matt Crafton inside the top 10.
I was talking to Kyle Larson this morning and he said, I can't tell you how much fun it is out there. He said, we tested at a couple different racetracks, but they weren't Eldora. He said, this one is really fun.
You know, Kenny Wallace said that he thought maybe it would take a grandpa to win this race. Kyle Larson's
20.
He's 20. I don't think that'll work for a grandpa, and he's driving like his head's on fire. So, but the second place racer, Dave Blaney, he's old enough to be a grandpa.
It's time for the hard left turn into the infield. Kyle Larson brings the first 15 on pit road. Let's go to Hermie Sadler.
Well, thank you, Rick. Austin Dillon has been on the move since the drop of the green flag. Qualified 19th, currently 4th. Danny Stockman says no major changes to the truck, but they will put 4 tires on as they think the track is taking rubber and tire wear will become more of an issue. The 34 of Ryan Newman, he is up to 6th. They're going to put 4 tires on and take 1/2 rubber out of the left rear to free Newman up. Ray?
On the left of your screen, you see Kyle Larson's Clorox race truck. It's still way too tight. He said he feels like the front tires don't have enough air in them. So his crew chief said, we'll make that adjustment for you. Don't worry about that. He said, I need just a little more forward bite coming off. On another end of pit road, I've got the 19 truck of Dave Blaney. Blaney said he's a 6 or 7 tight. They're going to go up 2 rounds on the track bar. They'll make a left front shock adjustment, and they're going to change the stagger by going to a different set of tires. Bob?
Johnny Sauter, 5th in points coming into this race. You see the windshield tear-off coming off of that truck right now, but he has not been happy with his truck. He's running 12th in this race. Very, very loose. He's going to drop the window net. His biggest complaint, though, the inside windshield fogging up for his teammate, the point leader, the 88 of Matt Crafton. Honestly, this team tells me that truck is very good right now. He was running some of his quickest laps before we got to this break, so he said the truck in front of him, the 62 of Brendan Gaughan, holding him up a little bit. But right now, Matt Crafton, the point leader, looking good.
Thanks, Bob. A lot of work taking place on pit road. Again, they can change tires, add fuel, make adjustments. They don't lose their spot. They'll come back out, and we will re-rank the field when we come back.
Segment 1 of the Mudsummer Classic, 1 of 3 complete. Kyle Larson leading. We've seen pit stops take place. The Mudsummer Classic made up of 3 segments, 60 laps, 50 laps, and 40 laps. for 150 laps total as NASCAR makes its return to dirt. It is a historic night out on the track. You see where we are, the Hollywood Hotel, just inside turn 3 and 4. Chris Devoda alongside a very antsy Clint Boyer and Tony Stewart. They said they feel like caged animals right here because all the action outside behind us. Tony, thanks for coming in and joining us. I mean, everything we have seen has been a huge success on the track. You have just got to be thrilled with what's going on here at your facility.
I'm ecstatic. It's, you know, thanks to Car Cash and, you know, CNBC's The Profit, this has been an awesome night, and everybody from NASCAR. Steve O'Donnell has been huge in getting this done, and Roger Slack from our track here, and Larry Bowes and Chad Schmidtmeyer, who prepped the track. Those guys just have done an awesome job. We have 7 full-time people here at Eldora, and the rest are high school kids and volunteers. So
7
just
people
really
threw
proud.
a pretty big party.
Yeah, they did. There were flame balls.
Yeah.
Big flame balls,
a lot of pyro
side
going
jobs,
on.
door to door, beating and banging on each other. This is awesome. Why do we even go? Do we have to go back?
Yes, we do.
Can we just stay on dirt?
Because
Stay on dirt.
we have to do this so you and I can pay our bills,
Oh,
so we
yes.
can have our teams that race on dirt. So just really excited. I mean, I'm very, very happy that NASCAR has given us this opportunity, and everybody's just had so much fun. It was so cool watching Norm Benning make the race, and 5 crews down there working on his truck to get it ready. So it just is a reminder that no matter how big all this gets, you know, when you come to a dirt track, it reminds us all what it's all about, and it's having fun and the people involved.
Ever since Tony came in and sat down, the two of you have been over there, like, you know, chit-chatting. I want to know, what have you guys been talking about? What do you as a dirt fan want to know from Tony about getting this place ready, or what we're going to see here in the next 2 segments?
You know, for me, I knew how big of an event this was for Tony. I knew, you know, he was nervous about this. I would have been nervous about it, but it can't be any better. I mean, the racing is unbelievable. We've been up here. We're like, come on, go! And you know, I'm trying to help Jared a little bit. I wish I had a radio here and watching some of the things they're doing. I mean, it's going to be exciting, and we're not done yet. That's what's... Yeah. It's going to get better.
I know you're talking about Jared. Jared Landers is Clint's late model driver. Is used to dirt, but has never raced a truck before, so we've been watching this quite intently.
No, absolutely. I mean, all the things that we take for granted, he don't know about. You know, pit road speed and what we're supposed to do there. And, you know, I was like, oh, I forgot to tell you about that. So I was running down there and telling him it's been a wild night, but so proud of you and happy for you. This is going to be, hopefully, for many years to come.
Well, and the great thing is it's not only the stuff that we know that he doesn't know, but there's so many new things. I mean, having the first 15 trucks come down and pit and have 3 laps to do it, then the second half of the field and different segments. I mean, this is stuff that we would have to try to have our spotters remind us how to do this. So it's you can imagine these new guys that have come from big block modifieds,
Right.
dirt late models, sprint cars, all these different divisions, and now they're running trucks and trying to learn the formats. Plus the guys that do this every week in a truck, now it's a whole different animal for them because they're doing it on a dirt track. So it just kind of keeps everybody on their toes and guessing what's going to happen.
Eldora Speedway used to hosting big time racing events, but the town of Rossburg, Ohio, population 201. This track has sold tickets to members of 48 of the 50 states. This is a huge event, Tony. Thank you so much for being here, for joining us to sort of just talk about it a little bit. I know you want to get out there and continue, and we're going to send things back upstairs to Rick Allen. What?
Can I go with him?
I know you want to. I know. I have to.
You're going to send me out of here, and I don't know what I'm going to do when
I
I'm
have
here
to keep
anyway.
you tethered. Well, I know. You want to be everywhere. We've seen you out on the quad. We've seen you on the grader. We've seen you. I mean, you've been everywhere getting this track ready. So I know Rick, Phil, Michael, all of us are excited to see what happens in segment number 2.
Yeah, definitely applaud all the efforts that Tony Stewart and his crew have put together to make this phenomenal facility and this event come to be.
Yeah, and there's a young man that's leading the race, and he wants to stink up the show. He wants to keep that first position and drive away, but Dave Blaney's going to pull into the inside of him. I just love what Timothy Peters is doing. There's a lot of people that are going to be really bent on not letting him do that.
All right, some work being done in the pits on the 52 truck, Herbie.
Yeah, Rick, he qualified up front. Obviously, that being Ken Schrader, dropped back to 7th. His truck was loose on exit, but it was because he was too tight in the center. They put a spring rubber in the right rear, hoping to free up the 52. Bob?
Kenny Wallace started 4th. He's back in 15th right now, but the big problem for him is he hit the wall on the right side. Exhaust came loose on that truck. They tried to make repairs for that during the pit stop, but they don't know if they got it fixed just yet.
We'll have to keep our eyes on that. Kyle Larson on the outside. Dave Blaney on the inside. They're 2x2, 15 rows back. Green flag back in the air. We're back underway at Eldora.
Dave Blaney does an awesome job getting up in front of Austin Dillon.
Blaine able to hang on to second. Austin Dillon running third. Right behind him, Ryan Newman in the 34. Timothy Peters trying to hold on to the 5th spot. Once again, we see him all the way from the inside wall all the way to the outside wall.
How about Bubba Wallace driving by Jared Landers on the outside in that 54 truck?
Bubba's another guy like Timothy Peters, lap after lap, better and better. Now he's challenging for a top 5 spot.
With 0 dirt track experience.
Oh, they're 4 wide down into 3.
Matt Crafton continuing to try to make the bottom of the racetrack work for him. Kyle Larson now has his hands full as Dave Blaney looked to the inside for just a moment to see if he could take a glimpse of that lead spot.
What about that kid, Kyle Larson? He said, I'm too tight, work on my truck. He was driving away from everybody. I'm not trying to listen to him. I know he's smart, but you work on your truck too much when it's that good, you might mess it up.
4 wide at the exit of turn 4. Ty Dillon, the 3 truck on the inside.
And Ken Schrader, we've got a smoker, the 84, smoking as he was going into turn number 1. We'll see if that creates any more problems.
Looks like an engine issue for him.
Yeah, definitely off the pace.
Dropping down to the inside of the track and probably will make the hard left turn. We'll see.
Matt Crafton's trying to force his way to the outside line, and he's been able to do it in front of the 18 of Joey Coulter.
Sliding up the racetrack on the right side of your screen, the battle for the 9th position. The battle for the lead on the left.
Busher into the outside wall, trying to race with Kenny Schrader. Schrader down to the bottom of the track. He's lost a lot of ground since this restart. Can't get up to the high side.
Kyle Larson continuing to run the high line. Dave Blaney continues to check just inside that left rear quarter panel.
I don't think Blaney could have kept up with Larson in that first segment, but he's all over him right now. It'll be interesting to see how these trucks change as the laps wear on. The track, like Tony Stewart said, will continue to evolve. It'll continue to change. These teams have to stay on top of it.
Kyle Larson running right up against the wall. Dave Blaney about a half a line below, and now Austin Dillon has closed the gap between he and second.
Remember, Austin Dillon started all the way back in the 19th spot. Really doing a nice job. He has Ryan Newman now right behind him in the 34 truck.
Nose to tail, your top 7. Kyle Larson continuing to run that high line. We'll see when the 19 will try the low line as he's got pressure behind him from Austin Dillon.
Looks like the 19 is really loose, Phil. He's sideways more than Dillon or Larson, and that gives Dillon the chance to run down on the bottom.
Dillon looks to the inside for second. Falls back in line behind Blaney. That's Dave Blaney, father to Ryan Blaney, also in the field.
Remember, there's no guarantee that the changes these teams made is going to help, but they will be able to undo that at the next segment breaker if they need to.
And the twist that's thrown into this thing, Phil, is the track changes. So you change your truck. If your truck goes bad, you don't know whether the change hurt it or the track conditions hurt it.
And that became one of the strategies that these teams have got to figure out, the communication between driver and crew chief. Johnny Sauter, Ty Dillon battling for the 10th spot.
Side by side. Dillon couldn't make any progress in the first 60 laps. Just settled in at 13th spot, but now he's racing for top 10 against Johnny Sauter.
And he's done it the hard way. He's been down on the bottom so much of this racetrack trying to make something happen.
Oh, look at Sauter in the
right into the side of the 98.
Outside.
That's Ty Dillon slamming into the 98.
Remember that happened in our heat race.
Clear quick. 88 right on you. Still clear.
These two got into it after the heat race. They talked, they discussed, but we also heard the 98 say, I can remember and I will remember what he did to me on the track. They continue to race door to door. Bob Dillner.
Ty Dillon up to 4th in points, riding a streak of 3 top 5s in the last 5 races. And he said, I have a very quick truck, but the problem is when he runs up top, he's very loose. But when he goes to the bottom like he did to get by Johnny Sauter there to break into the top 10, he's really tight. So Ty Dillon trying to climb his way to the front of this field. He loves dirt racing, would love to win here at Eldora, Hermie.
Yeah, Bob, an impressive night so far for Bubba Wallace. We talked about no dirt experience prior to this weekend, but he's up to 7th on that pit stop. He's a little bit tight on entry. They put 4 tires and made a left rear shock adjustment, and looks like it's all working out. Very impressive so far for Bubba Wallace.
Oh, Hermie, you're right. He started back on the 17th position, has a solid top 10 run now, running ahead of Jared Landers, an accomplished dirt track racer.
We also heard Ty Dillon talk about how fast a truck he had. Man, he's driven away from Johnny Sauter in that crowd once he grabbed that spot. I agree with Ty Dillon. He made the pass down on the bottom, and he's driving toward the front.
We saw Johnny bounce off the wall pretty hard when we were looking back through the 3 truck of Ty Dillon.
Austin Dillon in the 39 seems as though he was being held up by the 19 of Dave Blaney, was always on the back bumper and just hasn't been able to make the pass. Now we've got teammates running door to door.
Yeah, you
Crafton on the inside of Johnny Sauter.
Talked about Sauter getting into that outside wall. Crafton's been down on the inside of his teammate, can't do anything with him. And look behind him, side by side, here comes Ron Hornaday trying to join that battle.
Talked about a grandpa being able to run well here. Well, Ron Hornaday is a grandfather.
Look at Schrader. He's going to try to get around Busher. Good run off the turn by Schrader. He had a bad restart, but now he's starting to rebound.
Schrader all the way back into the 14th spot as he will try to take the 13th position away from Hornaday.
See right behind them, that blue truck, that's Ryan Blaney. He is 1 lap down. He is in position right now for the free pass. He wants to stay there. He's trying to move forward.
We need a friendly caution for Ryan Blaney if he wants to join the battle for this win like his father's doing right now. And man, if this glob racing for the 12th spot don't give us a caution, I don't know if we'll ever get one.
Kyle Larson out in front to start the 2nd segment of the Mudsummer Classic, and he has led every lap. Larson still in front as he has caught up to the slower lap traffic, so he has a lot of traffic in front of him he's going to have to work by.
Heavy traffic. He has about a 2nd lead right now. You see him turn that thing dead to the left there in the center of the corner, trying to move by the 7 of John West Townley.
Look at that group he's caught. There must be 15 trucks in this pack. Johnny Sauter has held up the whole world. There goes Sauter to the inside.
Again, we're in our 2nd segment. This is the 50-lap segment of a 150-lap race. Kyle Larson started up front. Take a look at this, though.
See, Austin Dillon jumps to the inside of Dave Blaney. Dave's trying to lap the 24 of Brennan Newberry. Watch this now. He's going to get hung, going to get turned into the outside wall.
And that cost him the 2nd spot. And I think that 39 truck of Austin Dillon is faster than Blaney. He was being held up. So Dillon could drive up there and catch our leader, Kyle Larson. And I can't believe the mess Larson finds himself in.
We've got Ryan Newman in the 34 just behind Dave Blaney.
This is the mess I'm speaking of, Rick. He's got trucks 2 wide, 3 wide ahead of him, and he's got to get through them.
It's from Johnny Sauter on back. Johnny right now runs in the 14th spot, and that's the line on the back straightaway from Johnny Sauter back.
Riding along with Kyle Larson, this is your race leader. He was able to take the lead in the 1st segment, driving from 13th all the way up to the lead.
Look who's already caught him, Rick. That's Austin Dillon that has driven right up.
Contact is made. Leader is going to lose the lead to Austin Dillon. Dillon's able to get by after the bobble by Kyle Larson.
This lap traffic is so challenging for these leaders. As you mentioned, it cost Kyle Larson the lead. Now he's going back after Austin Dillon.
He'll try around the outside of Dillon. Dillon didn't get a run down into turn 1. Kyle Larson on the outside. Is he going to take it back? There's the caution.
Kyle Larson trying to make the move on the outside. The caution comes out.
Wow, that was some good racing there.
The leader. There better be debris, or they're not giving us Dillon brother the lead.
Austin Dillon.
They're still racing. They're under caution, but they're arguing over who's leading what.
Kyle Larson, Austin Dillon were racing for the lead when the caution came out. There are 4 scoring loops that were put underneath the dirt here.
Look at this. That cost him the lead. There goes Austin Dillon.
Clear.
And then Dillon looked to the inside. That opened the door for Kyle Larson to go to the outside. But here's that contact we were talking about with Herman Quiroga.
The lap traffic makes this fun. The leaders caught that group, and man, it wasn't 2 laps till Austin Dillon was right on the tailgate of Kyle Larson.
Free pass is going to go to the 8 of Max Gresham. Once again running in the 20th spot. That will make it 20 trucks on the lead lap. We'll come back for the green flag in just a moment. Gorgeous evening just outside of Rossburg, Ohio at the Eldora Speedway for the Car Cash Mudsummer Classic, presented on speed by American Ethanol. We have 17 laps to go in this, the second segment, and already we've seen Kyle Larson, our race leader, catch up to the slower lap traffic, but he seems to have a little bit of issues when he's trying to get by them. We'll bring in Clint Boyer from our Hollywood Hotel. Clint, you talked about the different lines that these drivers have available to them. We haven't seen Kyle take advantage of that yet.
Well, let me tell you, the track is really coming in. It's cleaning up well. It's taking rubber on that outside. I mean, you can see the groove just being burned in there. So it makes that outside line prevail. It makes for a lot tighter racing. It gives them more grip that they can, race side by side. You can see the holes. The old baby's got some character out of it. So loving what I'm seeing. I like, the lap traffic. As soon as they get into the lap traffic and they take away that preferred line, forces them guys to slide down and try to do a slide job and gain some ground, but sometimes it doesn't work.
Clint, what happens as the truck puts more and more laps on this track? Will it get slicker up top and maybe open up the bottom, or how does the track mature as you go through the night?
Yeah, actually, it's so dry and slick now, it'll start taking rubber as those tires continue to burn rubber. That's exactly what they're doing up off the corners, and it's going to get faster and faster. They're going to get more grip. You can hear these guys starting to complain about being tight on the radio. That's because it's taking rubber and the cars aren't turning quite as good. So they'll be freeing the trucks up, and certainly it'll get interesting keeping an eye on that as we get into this last segment.
Well, they're definitely burning rubber. They're burning sheet metal. This is getting right now.
You boys 2-2 once again.
This is awesome. Austin, there's a lot of cars that have caught Kyle Larson. I've been watching lap times. Things are going to get interesting here up front.
When they caught up with the slower lap traffic, Kyle Larson lost the lead to Austin Dillon. He has chose the outside line for the restart. Again, this is a 50-lap segment. We've got 15 to go. It'll be 14 to go when they get to the line. Green flag back in the air.
Ryan Newman makes the move around the outside of Larson on the start.
Kyle's going to fall in the third spot here. He's pretty fortunate to get in third. See Dave Blaney racing with Brendan Gaughan for the fourth spot.
Jared Landers also throwing his nose up there. We see the 52, Ken Schrader, trying the lower line as he worked his way through the 3 and 4 turns here at Eldora.
Now Ron Hornaday, the 9 truck's going to make it 3 wide.
Two and 3 wide, working their way around the half mile, Eldora Speedway.
Got a battle for second. Larson up beside Newman. He can't quite make it work, but man, he's trying hard to get on the inside of Newman.
Remember, both of these drivers teammates at Turner Scott Motorsports for this event.
Somebody needs to remind them. I don't think they know that.
They're not racing for points. They're racing for the win. Ryan Newman, Kyle Larson had to race their way in through the qualifying heats to get into the A main. And now Larson again looking to the inside of Ryan Newman. It's still Austin Dillon out in front. And actually on the restart, Austin Dillon got into the wall.
Watch the sparks fly. He hits her pretty good, Phil. Boom, in the outside, sparks fly. Those guys running second and third had their tongues hanging out thinking they had him on the ropes.
Ty did the same thing right in front of Matt Crafton.
If one brother can do it, the other one can as well.
Larson's to the inside of Newman again.
Battle for second on the left side of your screen. Austin Dillon in front, Ryan Newman holding on to second. There's some more contact. You saw the 3 of Ty Dillon getting into the wall. Now it's side by side for second. Here comes the 30 of Larson. He's going to make the pass on the inside. He goes in front of Newman.
That was impressive. Wasn't a slide job. That was just a side-by-side battle, and Kyle Larson came out on top.
And Kyle gave Ryan Newman room up on the top of the racetrack. He just passed him clean.
Now we'll see if Kyle Larson can reel in the 39 of Austin Dillon, who's trying to put a little gap in between first and second.
I think he can.
We overheard on the radio that Kyle Larson was not real happy giving up that lead right before the caution flag came out.
To that Dillon boy, he said. I don't know if he didn't know which one it was or if he was just saying, and I'm going to get me some of that too.
One of the others. This was the pass for second. We're riding along with Kyle Larson as he moves to the inside of Ryan Newman.
Ryan really had it crossed up at the exit of 4, and that slowed his momentum enough to allow Kyle to get underneath him.
Now the gap is closed. Austin Dillon in front of Kyle Larson. Just 6 laps remain in this segment.
It did not take Kyle Larson long to catch Austin Dillon once he got by Ryan Newman.
He's got that baby hung out too, doesn't he, Phil? Look, sideways on entry. We talked to the guys down in the garage area. They said you can't enter the turn sideways and make any ground. They forgot to tell Kyle Larson that.
Remember, Kyle Larson races on dirt probably 75 to 100 times a year.
And Austin Dillon and his brother have a dirt team, so they also are familiar with dirt track racing. Here comes Larson again with a good run on Austin Dillon. The laps are winding down now. This segment, we're under 4 laps to go in this segment.
I think Kyle would love to make something happen here. He knows if he follows him to the end of the segment, he'll have to restart on the inside and do it all over again.
The exact same thing could happen to him again, where while another truck can pin him down, and he loses not only second, but back to third as well.
Bumping into the wall once again was the 39 of Austin Dillon. That's allowed the 30 of Kyle Larson to close the gap. Under 3 laps to go.
They're still going to catch some lap traffic, even though there's 3 to go.
Larson, we can hear him sliding through the turn as he continues.
This truck is so good through the center of the corner.
And now to the inside of the 39 for the lead. They're side by side and sideways.
And touching.
Austin Dillon hanging on to that top spot. Here comes Larson again.
I think we're going to have about 1 more lap to go to the end of the segment. Kyle needs to make it happen quick.
1 more lap. They're falling in behind the 57 of Norm Benning. Dillon has the lead. Kyle Larson running in second. Dillon to the inside of the 57 of Benning. Contact made once again. Kyle Larson checking up, trying the outside now. As they come out of turn number 4, it's still the 39 of Austin Dillon in front, the 30 of Kyle Larson running second.
Wow, Austin Dillon knows what he's got on his bumper, and he was very aggressive in that move around Benning.
And that ends the second segment. So we've already completed the 60 lap segment, the 50 lap segment now complete with Austin Dillon winning that segment. And now it all come down to the final 40 laps.
Can we breathe now?
Just a short breath.
Okay, good.
We will be able to come onto pit road once again. They'll do it as we did the first time. The first 15 trucks will make their way onto pit road. They will make their adjustments. The second 15 trucks will come onto pit road. They will make their adjustments, and we will re-rack the field.
How do you work on your truck now? If you're if Austin Dillon, you know Kyle Larson's faster. You might have to have an adjustment, and if you're Larson, he made an adjustment that last time. It seems like his truck's solid.
Looks like maybe a late air pressure adjustment for Austin Dillon's team.
Changing that stagger up, I would guess.
So the crew's getting ready for the teams to make their way onto pit road. Again, you won't lose your position on pit road. They have just over 2 minutes to work on these trucks before they will make their way back out onto the track. In front of the field, it's Austin Dillon. Kyle Larson running second. Ryan Newman is third. Dave Blaney fourth. And Brendan Gaughan has made his way into the top 5. Then it's Timothy Peters, Jared Landers, Darrell Wallace Jr., Joey Coulter, and Matt Crafton, your top 10.
We haven't talked a whole lot about points, but right now Matt Crafton, our point leader, is in the 10th spot. Jeb Burton is in the 19th spot right now. That would actually move the 31 of James Busher, who's running 15th, up to second in points.
Ryan Blaney in the 29 is going to receive the free pass, running in the 21st position. So that'll put 21 trucks on the lead lap. Talked about our point leader, Matt Crafton, holding down that 10th spot. And I'm very impressed with our Truck Series regulars, how impressive they are doing on dirt.
I love it, Rick. You talked about Brendan Gaughan. He's no stranger to the dirt. He races some off-road stuff. He understands how to bounce around and slide, but he's been very impressive. And especially, you know, Austin Dillon doesn't race this series all the time. He doesn't race dirt all the time. He's been impressive. But the couple of guys, Timothy Peters and Darrell Wallace Jr., that's been the story. From the time they first rolled onto this track yesterday to be running up in the top 10, challenging for a top 5 spot, I love what I'm seeing.
Darrell Wallace Jr. spun out twice yesterday.
He told me his bucket was empty. If you wanted to see his bucket of dirt experience, it was empty. There was nothing in it. But you wouldn't know it by the way this young man has performed tonight.
And we have seen him impress us on 1.5-mile race tracks. We've seen him impress us running against probably one of the best in the Truck Series. His Truck Series owner, Kyle Busch, he's raced him extremely well. And now we come to a completely different discipline. We come onto dirt, something that he's not familiar with at all, and he is really impressing everyone.
And right behind Wallace Jr. is Joey Coulter. He raced the late model race here, wanted to gain some experience. He's running inside the top 10, along with Matt Crafton and then Ty Dillon. So Johnny Sauter's trucks tore all to pieces, but he's in 12th. He's hanging right in there. He's got it's beat all to heck on the right side, but he's got a 12th place spot ahead of Kenny Schrader.
We will have a 40-lap segment to end this race. The 2 cautions that have come out have been for debris. We haven't had the spins that everyone was predicting coming onto a dry slick racetrack. We talked about it being locked up now and actually starting to gain rubber on this track.
See, he's dragging stuff. It's barely hanging together, and he's in 12th.
And now on to pit road they come. We go to Hermie Sadler.
Well, thank you, Rick. Austin Dillon comes to pit road as the race leader. Austin was relatively quiet on the radio even after the caution came out. They're going to make adjustments based on where they think the racetrack is going more so than the truck. They made an air pressure adjustment, air out of both lefts, air into both rights a little bit, and they're going to take a little bit of wedge out. Now, Ryan Newman in the 34 truck, he is running P3. It'll be 4 tires. Also going to free him up a little bit of wedge out of the left rear for Newman. Ray.
Dave Blaney, who came in running 4th, he said you need to free this thing up as much as possible. He said, I really need a lot of help. They'll go up another couple rounds on track bar and change air pressure. I'm in the number 30's pits down here taking a look at what they're doing. And so far, Kyle Larson has said, I really don't need to make many changes here, guys. I just got to get a better entry and we'll be okay. Bob?
Ty Dillon came in 4th in points. He's a dirt tracker. Thought he'd make up some ground on the point leaders here. But we saw just moments ago, he got up into the fence, and that really played with the right front. Knocked the toe in, and also they have some right front damage on that car. So they are tending to that machine right now, looking up underneath the right front of that car to make sure there's no other damage. Hoping to get that truck repaired because Ty thought he had a very good race truck. Johnny Sauter running 12th right now, came in 5th in points. He has been all over the place. Right now they're going to make a wedge adjustment on that truck, cleaning the inside of that windshield once again because it keeps on fogging up on Johnny Sauter. They're going to make that wedge adjustment because Johnny Sauter way too loose. He clobbered the right side of that truck just before we went under caution, guys.
Even though we're on dirt, remember, it's a short track.
And they beat and they bang, and we've got it in Expo. Look at these two. That's for the lead, sideways.
In Western Ohio, under racing's intense spotlight, the Truck Series trades track dryers for graders, asphalt for dirt at Eldora Speedway. And as the lights rise and the stars come out, the racing heats up. And while we add to Eldora's tradition tonight, only one will add to the legend.
Under 40 laps remaining. Who will hoist the trophy at the end of the evening in the Car Cash Midsummer Classic presented by American Ethanol? Right now it's Austin Dillon in front of Kyle Larson. The Mudsummer Classic at our AT&T race break. Again, we win a 60-lap segment, a 50-lap segment. We have under 40 to go. They went 4 wide. Well, the fireworks were in the air. The fans were on their feet for the parade lap. One of the drivers we thought would be a factor early wasn't. Scott Bloomquist has been struggling.
Yeah, he's down 2 laps now.
He's running in 27th. No one saw that coming, but something we did see coming was Kyle Larson. He came from the 13th starting spot all the way to the lead, and he's really, really fast now.
Race segment 2. Austin Dillon on the outside was able to jump in front of Kyle Larson on the restart. Newman got by Larson as well. And then Larson started working on that 39. As a matter of fact, they even traded paint a few times as they were battling for the top spot.
He knows he's got about 38 laps to do it. Kyle Larson's truck so good through the center of the corner.
Austin Dillon has proven, though, that he can run consistently lap after lap in that high groove. They're going to have to get physical if they want to get around Austin Dillon.
And our point leader, Matt Crafton, in the 10th spot, Bob Dillner.
Matt Crafton actually had an issue right before he came back down pit road here. He actually lost the scoring transponder on the car. It's usually located on the left rear frame rail. Well, that bracket for that transponder broke off. Luckily, it was wire tied on there and it was stuck up underneath the door, so NASCAR brought him back down pit road and they made them put it on the backup bracket that's located on the left rear frame rail. So good to go right now for Matt Crafton, but they did have a scare.
One of the other things, we've talked a lot about Kyle Larson working from 13th all the way up to right now 2nd. How about Austin Dillon from 19th to the lead?
Yeah, equally impressive too. And
that's what's going to be interesting. It took them about 25 laps to catch lap traffic. These guys, when they got to lap traffic, it was getting crazy, and that's how Austin Dillon grabbed the lead. Be interesting to see if we have any cautions, if these guys have to deal with that same lap traffic again.
Ray Dunlap, less than 40 laps to go for the 30.
Yeah, I just talked to Trent Owens, his crew chief, and he said he believes they're one of the 3 best trucks out there right now, so they're pretty confident. You know, one thing that's kind of interesting, the truck that Kyle Larson is driving right now, the last time it was on the racetrack, a year ago at Daytona International Speedway. Can you imagine they'd bring their Daytona truck here? Well, it has high frame rails, and in the rules package for here, you're allowed to have your frame rails up a half-inch higher than normal, and that gives you good clearance here on the dirt track. But Kyle Larson, no changes on that last pit stop. I think he's pretty confident. Hermie?
Well, Danny Stockman, you've done all you can do in the pits. It's showtime for your driver. Done a good job of getting to the front. Can you hold those guys off?
Yeah, we just got to get taken off here and see what we got. I mean, the truck's good. We had a plan coming into this weekend, and we stuck to it. And it's all about forward drive, and I think we got enough. Kyle Larson in that 34 truck, Newman's pretty good, but right now I'm pretty happy to be sitting here with Austin Dillon.
It's Danny Stockman, the crew chief, pretty confident in his driver.
And again, those two, Danny Stockman and Austin Dillon, trying to run for a championship in the Nationwide Series.
They've been pretty successful together.
yes, they have. They got a big race this weekend. It's amazing that our sport, we have 2 of our biggest races in the same week.
And this one will lead into that one with a lot of energy and a lot of momentum. And folks at Indianapolis Motor Speedway sent a lot of media down here to check out the trucks at Eldora. Also, Roger Curtis up at Michigan International Raceway helped Tony Stewart out with the planning and
Execution as well.
assisting and executing this event. So everybody was excited about Eldora being on the schedule. Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Michigan International Raceway Speedway also have helped out a great deal. So the whole community's happy about this event, and I can't wait till this last 40 laps.
We know we have a lot of eyes that are watching here at Eldora. They have done such an amazing job. They've got big screen. They've got a big screen here. That came from the stadium in Dallas when it was renovated. They brought the big screen here. They brought in grandstands. They've done so much work to this facility to enable NASCAR to come back to dirt.
And the nice thing is they're used to having big events here, big late model events, big World of Outlaws, the Kings Royal. It's an amazing facility here. I was fortunate enough to come here back in the late 60s when my brother Benny raced here in the ARCA series, and it's just been amazing, the transformation for this, not only this racetrack, but this whole area.
But all that's out of these guys' minds right now. They just want to tackle this dirt, tackle this competition, and get a win at Eldora in a NASCAR race on dirt for the first time in 43 years.
They're kind of zeroing in what's going on between the white walls right now.
Exactly.
It's impressive as you saw the pointers going lap by lap or row by row. In that 4th row, Darrell Wallace Jr., Bubba Wallace, another one that I believe has impressed quite a few.
Tremendously.
And Jared Landers. We heard Clint Moyer say his driver on the dirt series had never shifted gears. The late model he runs has 2 speeds. He puts it in high and goes. So, Clint, what do you think about your boy? He's done a nice job, hasn't he?
He has. He's done a really good job. I'm just proud of him. You know, he's got to keep digging. You got to stay in this game. It's time to get the elbows up, get aggressive here. But, hey, you got to finish this thing, too.
Do you think Austin Dillon's going to be able to hold off Kyle Larson?
I think you're fixing to see a heck of a race up there with them two. They're going to be beating and banging on each other. And once they get into this lap traffic, that's where it's really going to get interesting.
Right at the top of the hour, 11 o'clock. Green flag back underway. We are in the 3rd segment from Eldora.
Watch Ryan Blaney. He does not want to let Kyle Larson in there.
Dave Blaney trying to take it away, gets into the wall. Kyle Larson's going to take advantage of that. And once again, Dave Blaney sideways in the 19 as he continues to work through 3 and 4.
Kyle Larson has that second spot.
Blaney hit hard, but he's able to hang right in there. If he can get up the hill and ahead of Ryan Newman, he'll retain that third spot, and he does it.
Pretty on, also in the 62, throwing that truck into the mix.
These are pretty tough trucks here, aren't they?
Yeah, they're bouncing off the wall every turn.
And going faster.
They're more determined than ever. It's winding down. This is what they all came to Eldora for, to have a chance to win in the last 40 laps. Larson's racing hard. You saw Ryan Newman trying to get around Blaney.
Landers into the wall. Landers is around.
Landers sideways contact is made, and they pile up. The yellow flag comes out.
Ty Dillon's backwards against the outside wall.
Landers got really sideways to start that, and Dillon got the worst of it into the outside wall.
No problem. Leaders just going into 1.
Huge points implications for Ty Dillon. You talked about the fact that he's a dirt racer, felt like he could gain some points. Now he's into the wall. Look how tore up Jared Landers' truck is.
Not a lot left on the front. You see the bumper bars sticking out of the number 6.
I think the NASCAR officials will have to bring him to pit road to tear the bumper bar out of that thing.
We talked about tick, 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 things getting tougher and tougher. Watch what happens.
Yeah, this is building up to what just happened. Almost a lap advanced of what took place.
Joey Coulter, the 18 truck, racing hard with Landers in the 6.
Landers right up against the wall, got loose, and then the 3 gets caught up as well as the 98.
Yeah, no issue with the 18 of Joey Coulter.
Joey was racing him tough, scrubbing on him, rubbing on him, but when he exited turn 2 there, he hits the dip and turns around sideways. Look at all those guys trying to figure out which way to go.
Jeb Burton got a piece of that with a 4 truck as well. From Ty Dillon's on board.
Watch Landers bounce and then spin.
6 in the wall, stay in it. Come on, come on, come on, come on. He's right on you. Shit, he turned us. Hold on to it, hold on to it, hold on.
Tough break for Ty Dillon, as well as Johnny Sauter.
And Jared Landers.
And Jared Landers.
You see the damage to the front of that truck. Once again, in a live situation, apologize for the language. Spotters talking to their drivers and communicating to the team what's taking place on the track.
I think Landers is trying to figure out how to get that sheet, that nose composite tore off his truck without pitting. Saw him scrubbing the wall a second ago.
33 laps remain in the Mudsummer Classic from Eldora Speedway. Stay with us. Welcome back under the lights at Eldora Speedway for the Mudsummer Classic. There's 31 laps remaining. The reason why we are under caution. Jared Landers in the 6, sideways off a 2, contact with the 98 as well as the 3.
And the 4.
Yeah. Jeb Burton got a lot of that.
A lot of damage to the front of that truck. And we also saw Dakota Armstrong get a piece of that. That was a big crash.
The 98 nowhere to go. And he gets collected in this one. Bob.
Tough break for the guy running 5th in points. Johnny Sauter was battling to get back into the top 10 here. Major damage to the front end of that machine. They took the baseball bats trying to beat that hood down, but the problem is it's leaking water right now. His crew chief Jesse Saunders for this race said the top of the radiator is partially ripped off, so right now they're trying to figure out whether they're going to stay out there and run as many laps as they can or not. Right down lap.
Well, Bob, on both rounds of pit stops, Dave Blaney had complained about being really, really tight. Remember, on the first stop, he was a 6 or a 7. Well, Chad Kendrick has raised the track bar a couple of rounds each time and made a shock change. Well, on this last restart, Blaney said he was way, way too loose, but he really thinks they're right on that perfect edge. He says in the long run, if we can get a 20 or 25 lap run here, I may have the best truck.
And we saw Dave Blaney get loose coming off a 2, slam into the wall.
Yeah, he's really loose. I'm surprised he's that confident with as sideways as he's been. But we've seen Kyle Larson be really sideways and making ground. So earlier we talked about grandpa style, just sort of easing her around. That's out the window, isn't it?
Absolutely. With inside of 30 laps to go, we're going to go one more lap here. Ryan Newman now in the catbird seat on the outside of the second row.
Yeah, and you know, the last time that he was up there, he was able to get his way around Kyle Larson, and Kyle had to battle with him for 10 or 15 laps. That gave Austin Dillon a whole lot of breathing room.
Before the caution came out, here's a hard hit by Ron Hornaday. He actually has to take that truck behind the wall.
Yeah, I'd say all the right front suspension's knocked off of that baby.
They've been working on that number 9 truck.
Smoky Mountain Herbal Snuff. That seemed like a perfect dirt track sponsor. And I'll tell you something. I've seen Carolina Nut about a zillion times during this race. He's been into everything up beside other trucks, but now finally it looks like he's broken.
Now this actually, the distance here is more like what you would see a feature on a Friday or Saturday night at your local dirt track, about a 30-lap feature. We're down to the final 28 laps of this race. Clint, I mean, guys have got to be up on the wheel now.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's Saturday night special, man. I mean, this is what dirt racing's all about, coming down to the end. You got to get to the end of this thing, but I'm telling you, these boys up front, Newman, you know he's a bulldog in that thing on the outside. That is the groove to be in, and he's going to be pushing hard, so I can't wait to see this thing unravel.
And we're on the edge of our seat as well.
Oh, been this way the whole race, barely used it. I just can't wait to watch how this thing plays out. Clint talked about Newman. He's really difficult to pass. He's determined not to let you by, which all these guys are, but Ryan has a knack for holding you back. If he's able to clear Kyle Larson, there's one guy that will breathe a big sigh of relief, and that's Austin Dillon. That just gives Kyle less time to work over Austin, and we saw Kyle had the moves to get up beside Austin Dillon, not to pass him, but he was beside him.
I tell you what, though, he's hard to pass, you're right, but he's pretty good at passing people, too, so keep your eye on him.
Remember the battle at the beach, Kyle Larson to win the late model race took somebody out on the last lap, C.E. Falk. See, he has used the bumper before.
Austin Dillon, Kyle Larson coming out of 4. Green flag back in the air. 26 laps to go.
All clear. 30 missed a gear.
We heard the spotter say Kyle Larson missed a gear on that start. That made it easy for Ryan Newman to drive around the outside of him. And Ryan Newman sets his sights on Austin Dillon.
Here comes Kenny Schrader. Kenny's getting serious down on the bottom.
3 and 4 wide as they work their way through 3 and 4. In front of the field, it's Austin Dillon. Ryan Newman holds down second. Kyle Larson third. Timothy Peters up to the 4th spot. Ken Schrader, as you mentioned, was in the 5th position when they crossed the stripe.
Comes Ty Dillon trying to make his way back towards the front. There's Jared Landers that caused that incident in the 6th truck.
What about that restart for Schrader? Started 9th. He's going to come across the start-finish line this time in the 5th spot.
And he moved up the racetrack in front of the 18 of Joey Coulter. Dave Blaney's the one that's been stuck on the bottom since the restart.
Blaney trying to not lose more positions, but now Matt Crafton's going to look to the outside of that 19.
Crafton sticks it in the outside wall, keeps going. That's Brendan Gaughan down on the inside of Crafton. There's more sparks and into the wall.
More contact with the wall here at Eldora.
Bubba Wallace trying to make that bottom of the racetrack work.
All the way down.
Max Gresham, that 8 truck, he's got 2 free passes, and he's up there racing right behind Matt Crafton in front of James Busher.
Look, there he goes around Bubba Wallace and grabs that spot.
Breaking into the top 10 is what Gresham's trying to do.
Bubba desperately needs to get up behind James Busher. Not sure if Dakota Armstrong's going to let him.
Kyle Larson trailing the 34 of Ryan Newman. Newman holding on to second. Out in front is Austin Dillon. Top 3 have separated themselves from 4th place, Timothy Peters.
And there's Larson. We talked about Ryan Newman getting in between Larson and Dillon, and that's everything Dillon wanted to see. It worked perfectly for Austin Dillon, but Austin Dillon has been able to pull away from those 2 a little bit.
Austin Dillon hoping that the 2 of them begin to race each other behind him so he can get a gap between that 2nd place truck.
Fastest truck on the racetrack that last lap, Ryan Newman. 2nd fastest, Kyle Larson.
We heard Clint say Ryan Newman very good at passing, very difficult to pass. Well, all he has to do is pass 1 truck. That truck, though, in front of him, very impressive in Austin Dillon.
Austin looks like he really takes his time through the center of the corner and then gets a good run off the corner. Looks like Ryan Newman, Kyle Larson are a little bit quicker through the center of the corner than Austin.
And they've got to turn up the heat. They've got to get a little bit desperate. Maybe start over driving those trucks a little bit and see what they got. You can see what Kyle Larson sees. He's got a whole lot of Ryan Newman right in front of him. And just ahead of Newman, there's Austin Dillon.
Top 3 across the start-finish line. 18 laps of racing to go from Eldora.
Wow. This is a classic battle. 3 trucks, pretty evenly matched.
very talented on dirt, all three.
Exactly.
Austin Dillon in front.
Still really impressed with the job Timothy Peters has done. He's lost touch with his top three, but still holding down a comfortable 4th place right now.
In front of Joey Coulter, who holds down the 5th spot. Ken Schrader's dropped back to 6th. Brendan Gaughan in 7th. Dave Blaney 8th. Matt Craft in 9th. And Bubba Wallace back up to the 10th position.
How about that race right there? Kenny Schrader, the 52 on the outside. Brendan Gaughan, the 62 on the inside. That is a race for the 6th spot.
Schrader is holding up that group of trucks. Joey Coulter got by him the last lap. There goes Brendan Gaughan, and now Dave Blaney's going to make the move on Schrader. Schrader's truck is going away as the laps wind down.
Kyle Larson was able to get up to the inside of that 34 of Ryan Newman. That's the battle on the left side of your screen for the lead. Top 3 trucks running nose to tail. Austin Dillon, Ryan Newman, and the 30 of Kyle Larson.
Guys, this traffic is going to become a factor. They run another 10 laps. They're going to catch the end of this field, and whoever can get through the traffic the best could be the winner.
We only have 14 laps to go right now.
They're going to catch them, though, Phil.
Look at Kyle Larson all over the back bumper now of Ryan Newman. And Newman has caught up to the 39 of Austin Dillon. The 3 are nose to tail, working their way in front of the grandstands once again. 13 laps to go.
What about this battle?
Look at Kyle Larson into the outside wall.
Looked like he thought he maybe could squeeze on the outside of Ryan Newman. Lost a lot of ground trying to do so, but he'll make it up in a couple of laps, I guarantee you.
Kyle Larson might have a right rear down. It looked as though when he got up into that cushion, something went wrong. No, it's still up, but he hit that cushion a little bit hard and actually into the wall harder.
I agree with you. He's gotten really loose, Rick. You could see there. It's getting sideways. He's losing ground.
It looks as though something happened with that 30 truck of Kyle Larson. We'll see if he's able to straighten it out and give challenge for second once again.
Remember that traffic I talked about? Another couple of laps, and they're there. They just get around Norm Benning. The caution's out.
We just saw some debris, and the caution comes out once again.
Oh, and look who's in 3rd spot now.
Kyle Larson will be on the inside. Timothy Peters on the outside on this restart.
Newman down on the inside along with Larson. And Peters is strong. You talked about he had lost touch with our leaders, but he maintained. They weren't getting away from him. So this is really interesting stuff.
Inside of 10 laps to go in the Mudsummer Classic. Stay with us.
What a show we have seen at Eldora tonight. We are getting ready for the final laps of the Mudsummer Classic. Chris Devoda alongside Clint Boyer. And it all comes down to this. The familiar names we've seen up top, Kyle Larson, Austin Dillon, Ryan Newman, they're about to go into a shootout. Clint, what do you expect we're going to see?
Well, you got your best trucks up front. I mean, they've been the class of the field since we've been here, all through practice sessions and everything. You know that Bulldog is going to try to slide him on this start. And Kyle Larson being on the outside, that's an advantage. These 3 are fixing to put on a show for us.
So we've got Dillon leading. I assume Newman being the Bulldog.
Newman he's definitely the Bulldog.
And Kyle Larson, who led our first segment, has really been fast all week, in 3rd. You also have some of our regulars, Timothy Peters, Joey Coulter, Brendan Gaughan. They're trying to get up there and say, hey, I don't care if you're a dirt ringer. I can win this thing.
Absolutely. Let me tell you, Timothy Peters has done a great job all weekend long. He's very impressive. I don't think he's got a dirt background for being right in there in the top 5 all weekend long, speed-wise and everything else. What a great job.
And check your pulse, because if it's not raised right now, it's about to be, Rick.
The final 5 laps about to get underway in the Car Cash Mudsummer Classic.
Is that a leave 2 pills thing good for anxiety? Because I'm all tensed up over here. This is going to be amazing. Larson is in a bind. He knows he's got to make something happen right now. And Peters, he's in a catbird seat. He can drive around Ryan Newman and race for the win. A guy without a lot of dirt experience, like we talked about.
5 laps
to decide it all.
Who will win at Eldora? The first trip back for NASCAR on dirt. Green flag back in the air. Great restart for Austin Dillon. Here comes the 30 of Kyle Larson. Look at the inside of that 39 of Ryan Newman. They slide all the way up to the wall. Sparks flies. They're battling for second coming out of turn 4.
Holy cow, what driving that is.
Kyle Larson has taken the spot away from Ryan Newman. Joey Coulter looks to the inside of Newman now, battling for the third spot. It's Austin Dillon out in front, though.
Is Kyle Larson going to have enough time to catch him with 3.5 laps to go?
Kyle Larson giving everything he's got, trying to reel in the 39. Austin Dillon's been strong all race long. He looks as though he can hold on for 3 laps, but Kyle Larson is giving him chase.
I don't want it ever to end. This is so impressive. The job that Kyle Larson and Ryan Newman did racing for that second spot. We got a caution. It's not going to end.
Comes out, and there's debris on the front stretch.
I see it. It's right there.
Right when they come out of turn number 4, it was right in the groove.
You know that bulldog that Clint Boyer spoke of? He's going to be right behind our leader. He's in the 4th spot. Ryan Newman will start just behind Austin Dillon, and we can do it all over again.
Why wouldn't you have a green-white checkered in your first dirt race?
I think you should.
I think you should.
I don't want it to end, Rick. This is amazing. The crowd is on their feet. This is the first attempt. With any luck at all, we can have 3 of them.
I think Danny Stockman wanted to end.
Danny Stockman would just as soon to go ahead and end, I think.
I'm not so sure Danny Stockman knew what was going on because he had a smile on his face.
Every person standing there. Every person standing.
Capacity crowd on their feet.
Over 20,000 in attendance here at Eldora. The debris has been picked up. They'll tell him to go 2 by 2 once again. Take a look at this restart.
Watch this battle between Newman and Larson. This is respect, but this is mainly talent. These are dirt racers. Watch this, side by side, sideways.
There's no way they should have been able to make it through there like they did.
Look at that.
And they did. And Kyle Larson was able to come out in front as they were going into 1.
Let's go on board with Kyle and watch what he does.
Saw the sparks from Newman's truck against the outside wall.
Listen to him work that throttle. It doesn't sound like he's excited at all. He's just kind of working that baby, making that rear tire, making those rear tires hook up and driving around Newman.
Now, is this an advantage for Kyle Larson? We saw him work on the 34 of Newman from the inside.
No, it's not an advantage. He's trapped on the bottom. Newman's on the outside. I think Austin Dillon nails this restart, and Ryan Newman goes with him.
Right.
Well, Trent Owens, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. What do you think he's got?
I don't know. The key here is just get a good restart and hope we can put a slide job on him. We're not racing for points, so excitement could happen.
All right, they weren't happy about starting 3rd. We'll see if it's better from 2nd.
I guarantee you they reminded Kyle Larson he wasn't racing for points. And Kyle knows that. Which, you know what that means,
Austin
Rick?
Dillon isn't racing for points either.
Well, not racing for points means hit him. That's what that means.
I'm not sure right now anybody's racing for points.
First attempt at a green-white checker. Austin Dillon on the outside. Kyle Larson on the inside. Green flag back in the air. Great restart for Austin Dillon. Dillon shooting out down the backstretch. Here comes Kyle Larson once again, fighting for the 2nd spot. Dillon is checked out to 2 truck length lead over 2nd place. Coming out of turn number 4. White flag in the air. One more time around Eldora.
It was like a replay. Kyle Larson making that pass on Newman. Now Newman's to the bottom.
Newman trying the slide job. Can't make the move on the 30 of Kyle Larson. Here comes the 39 of Austin Dillon. 43 years ago, the NASCAR series was on the dirt. It's been 43 years. The King won the last time. Dillon wins this time.
Baby! Woo! Hell yeah!
Austin Dillon grabbing another win in the Camping World Truck Series, but this one might be the sweetest of them all. The first time the Camping World Truck Series has raced on dirt, a very historic night, and it goes to young Austin Dillon.
Do it for dirt burnout.
He doesn't know how to do a dirt burnout.
I'm sure there's all smiles on Danny Stockman's face, Hermie.
Danny Stockman, we all wondered what would go down at Eldora. Your guys put on a heck of a show. Congratulations on winning the first dirt race for the Camping World Truck Series.
Yeah, first and foremost, I got to thank the truck shop down at RCR. They built us a good truck with the racing the nationwide schedule. Obviously, we're really busy, and them guys built us an awesome truck, and we came here and we tuned on it, tuned on it, and tuned on it. And we knew we had to have forward drive. We didn't really care about how good we turned. We put all the forward drive we could put in this thing, and it paid off today.
How about those final restarts? Glad you had the position to get it, but did it concern you when you kept racking them up again?
Well, not really. I mean, our truck would take off so good. The two guys behind us there, they were just too loose taking off, and we can kind of get 5 or 6 car lengths out, and it's what we needed, man. I got to thank the Lord and everybody at RCR, ECR, the fab shops, everybody. Thank you very much, guys. Awesome.
That's Danny Stockman. He's going to victory lane. Rick?
And so is Austin Dillon, that 39 truck. He tried to do a burnout on dirt.
I like that dirty burnout he did.
the rooster tail that shot
everywhere.
Behind
the rooster tail, you're right, Rick.
And now he's made it into victory lane at Eldora Speedway. We've talked about how historic this racetrack is and the prestige that comes from winning at a place like Eldora. You put it in the same category as the Daytonas, the Indianapolises, and now on dirt, Austin Dillon can claim a win at Eldora Speedway.
And like Clint Boyer said, the trophy's got dirt in it. It's got real dirt in it.
One of the things that the teams will be able to do is they will take some of this dirt from Eldora and be able to cherish that with them forever.
But one of the most important wins ever in the history of this series. I mean, this it's been 43 years since NASCAR's been on dirt. First time, obviously, for the Truck Series that was born in 1995. Just an amazing event.
And Austin Dillon had to work for it. Starting 19th in this race.
He charged.
Battled his way up front.
We talked about Kyle Larson. He got there in a hurry, but here came Austin Dillon right behind him.
And here comes Austin Dillon. Hermie?
Those were nice fireballs.
Austin, there are big wins, and then there are big wins, and there are wins at Eldora in the Camping World Truck Series. Your emotions right now?
It's amazing, man. I love this dirt racing. It's so much fun. And I want to first off thank Tony Stewart, NASCAR, for coming here, and my grandpa, RCR, American Ethanol, for giving these opportunities. And I want to thank Lord above, too, man. This is a big win. We've had an up-and-down season this year in the Nationwide Series, and to get a win like this is awesome. And this is real racing right here. That's all I got to say. And thanks to everybody back at RCR, ECR. This is great.
Talk about the evolution of this racetrack. A lot about dirt racing. It's not about what your truck is doing now. It's what the racetrack is doing. Danny Stockman said you guys had a plan, stuck to it. Did anything surprise you about how this race played out?
Wow. Yeah, you know, we started 19th. Had to come from a long way. Rolled a few on the bottom, then got in line. And my truck I could get turned a little earlier in the middle and have drive. So that's where I could pass. But how about restarts? And there's my grandpa. He stayed. That's awesome. And my crew chief, this is his first time crew chiefing on dirt. I got a bunch of people to thank back here with Team Dillon Racing, Shane McDowell, Dale McDowell. They taught me how to drive on dirt, and I can't say much enough about the McDowell family for everything they've done for me.
That's Austin Dillon. He's in victory lane at Eldora. Ray.
Hermie, I'm standing by with Kyle Larson, and this guy had the fastest truck throughout the course of the weekend. You led a lot of laps. You had a lot of side-by-side. I'm assuming it was a lot of fun, but what was the difference at the end?
Well, man, we had the best truck for sure. Our Clorox Chevy was by far the best, I thought, and I just got overly excited in lap traffic and got in the back of somebody and got me out of shape, and Austin was able to scoot by, and man, I got by him right when the yellow came out, and I guess I just didn't hit the timing loops, you know, the way I needed to, because I was in front of him when the yellow came out. I just wasn't in front of him before the last timing line, and from there I just had to restart on the bottom, which was, you know, the worst place to be, and I kept screwing up my shifts to fourth. And then there at the end, I just decided to go from third to fourth instead of second all the way to fourth, and got better restarts and had to use my teammate up there quite a bit. But, you know, I knew we had the best truck and was going hard for the win, but came up a little bit short. And man, it would have been nice to win the first race here, but Austin ran a great race. Didn't make any mistakes once he got the lead, and we got second.
All right, Kyle Larson comes home second. We want to hear from Ryan Newman. I believe he's standing by with Bob.
That's right, and Ryan Newman ran the last part of this race with no brakes on his truck. So let's talk about that. And by the way, your teammate over there, Kyle Larson, said he used you up a little bit battling for that win.
No, I know. I had brakes. It just took about 6 pumps to get any kind of pedal, but really don't need brakes here. It's just more of a confidence builder. But my truck was really good on the long runs, and we didn't have that there at the end. I told Kyle I needed his mailing address because I want to mail him the left side of this truck, and we have to thank Oral-B, Aggressive Hydraulics, Wicks Filters, and everybody's Turner Scott Motorsports. Unfortunately, Mr. Hendrick, we didn't need your horsepower this weekend, but just a good run for us. Had a lot of fun. Wish we could have won. Just didn't have a good short run truck. The long run truck was where we needed it to be.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. But if you were able to maybe dictate a restart, did you think you had something for Austin?
I think if I'd have been the lead truck, then I could have, I was good on the restarts as far as launching. And once you got the line, it's really hard to pass. And you really had to do a slide job. But if somebody did a slide job on you, you could pretty much just get them back, unless there was a little give and take there. But, Kyle was good on the short runs, and he was bonsai off the wall all weekend long. Or all week long, I guess you could say. But just thank everybody at Turner Scott Motorsports and Tony Stewart and everybody at Eldora Speedway. Had a lot of fun here. Hopefully we can do it again.
You know what I like, Rick? Everybody has a smile on their face.
Yeah, Ryan Newman finishes third, but he had a lot of fun. Kyle Larson had the best truck, but he had a lot of fun.
Austin Dillon had a lot of fun.
Austin Dillon is going to be celebrating for quite some time. You saw the big bear hug by Richard Childress, who came in there, Grandpa.
Another guy that charged, Joey Coulter, all the way up to the 4th spot, along with Brendan Gaughan, Timothy Peters, Bubba Wallace, a bunch of regular racers.
Ram Guts and Glory, our final restart. The one attempt at a green-white checker we had to do.
Remember, Kyle Larson said he actually started in 3rd gear, lost a little bit on the start, but he got Ryan Newman back before the end.
And the checkered flag flew, and it was Austin Dillon receiving the first win on dirt. The Ace Hardware Most Helpful Pit Crew goes to the 39 team. Austin Dillon.
Remember, they had a plan for this entire week. They stuck with it, and they end up in victory lane.
You've got the kissing of the bricks at the Brickyard in Indianapolis. Well, at Eldora,
you got the digging of the dirt. I dig the dirt, don't you, Rick?
I definitely dig the dirt. And Austin Dillon about to do the same right here at the start-finish line. What an amazing Car Cash Mudsummer Classic from Eldora as we see Richard Childress back in the mix. Getting ready for the ceremonial digging of the dirt at Eldora.
His former driver, Dale Earnhardt, was pretty fancy on the dirt. I know that must bring back some memories for Childress to grab a victory here on the dirt with his grandson, and he's digging that dirt. This is a great time for a team just to reflect on what they did and enjoy and celebrate. What a great night. I can't put into words how much fun this was.
Oh, man, it's a little hard.
It is hard packed, but Austin Dillon gladly gets some dirt from the start-finish line at Eldora. And the team are going to savor the dirt from Eldora. Take a look at our point standings. Matt Crafton holds on to that point lead. As a matter of fact, has a race lead now over Jeff Burton in second.
Another top 10 finish for Matt Crafton. He ends up 8th. Top 10 finishes all 10 races this year.
Jeff Burton slid home in 14th spot, so he lost some ground to Burton. Busher as well. Ty Dillon in that crash on the back straightaway, that hurt his chances.
Timothy Peters, a very impressive run tonight on dirt. Moved up 2 spots in the point standings to 6. Let's go to Bob Dillner.
Joey Coulter, he has an impressive run as well. He finishes 4th, and we were just joking around. You may not have made a few friends out there tonight.
That's all right. It's first race probably of many. It's there was a lot of bumping and rubbing, but that's what we had to do. That's what was getting done to me early on, so I just waited a little bit later to start dishing it back out. But man, hats off to Tony Stewart and this whole Eldora team, man, and NASCAR for getting us here. This is this was the most fun I've ever had in a stock car. But thanks to Kyle Busch Motorsports, Toyota, Darrell Gwynn Foundation, good points night for us, and had a lot of fun.
Joey Coulter moves up from 13th to 12th in the points rank.
Hey, Bob, Austin Dillon's won a ton of late model races. We talked about Kyle Larson's resume, and when I look at Brendan Gaughan's dirt resume, it says no experience. How did you get a good finish tonight?
We got a lot of dirt experience. It just might have been in a little different type of vehicle, but you know, our Southwest Chevy was fast all night. It was a great night. Chad Haney helped us. Shane Wilson did a great job. Stevie Reeves spotting for me. You know, I mean, this is a great team effort by RCR. We grabbed guys from the shop and moved them around and said, come help, that had dirt experience, and it was fun. I don't know if, as long as the crowd thought it was as good inside the seat as it did outside, because that was so much fun, but don't go to the well. Tony Stewart has a great track. Eldora, what a fantastic show.
Thank you, Brendan. He finishes 5th. Great run tonight for the South Point Chevy.
Expectations, guys? Beyond anything you could have imagined?
Matt, it exceeded my expectations, Rick, when we drove up yesterday and saw all the campers, the crowd that was gathering, and the whole event. It was an event. This was a spectacle, and I can't be happier that I was here.
I don't think any one of the 20-some thousand people that came here will go away disappointed.
And the millions that watched on TV as well. It was a great event here, Krista.
Well, Rick, this was so much bigger than a race. It was actually a slice of inspiration, I think, for young dirt racers out there across the country who are just trying to get up to the NASCAR ranks to see what happened here at Tony Stewart's track tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to put into words what this is going to do for the short tracks across the country, but so proud of NASCAR for taking a chance, coming and putting these trucks on dirt. I mean, they don't call them tough trucks for nothing. They were beating, banging on each other. It was so much fun to listen to the guys calling the race. I'm glad to be a part of it, but let me tell you something. I got to have me a truck next year.
I was going to say, are you kicking yourself for not being out there racing tonight?
I am now. That looked like way too much fun. I'm going to have to find me something for next year.
Well, thank you, Clint, for coming in and joining us. I know it was tough for you. You were bouncing off the walls trying to get out there and talk to your guys. It was a lot of fun. There were question marks coming in. I think one thing we can say without any question is this explanation points marks leaving, because it was just that big of a night. It was the race everyone in the NASCAR world had been waiting for, and it most certainly did not disappoint. It was a big night for dirt fans as they see their style of racing shine under the spotlight. It was a historic night for NASCAR as the sport takes a page from its past to possibly write a new chapter for its future. The Mudsummer Race, more than classic, it was epic. Austin Dillon, the winner on dirt in Eldora.